Our first official duos tournament of Chapter 7 has just concluded, and let's just say it is still not looking the best for Peterbot and Pollo. We're going to talk about them as well as all of the brand new duos and how they looked in the first tournament of the season. Real quick before this video starts though, please subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, as we try our best to upload daily competitive content for you guys. If you guys want to support me even more, far and away the best way to do so is by using code KDOG in the Fortnite item shop. We shout out 2 people every single video who DM me proof of them using my code, so shout out to these 2 people right here. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. Without further ado though, as we always do for these eval cups, we're going to quickly go over the opens, then go way more in depth for the finals. So the duo that finished in first place of the opens was none other than Taki and Vert on 327. They won half of their games and got 58 total elims. A little bit of a surprising duo that was able to win the opens. Second place was Josh and Iyamzo, the best duo from the Simpsons season, continued their reign into the opens as well. 325 points, 1 out of 6 games wins, 54 total elims. Third place was Dash and Cam. Fourth place was Ark and Kanata on 308. And I'm just gonna say this one time, no, Ark still not on 0 ping, probably not gonna be on there until maybe potentially FNCS time. Fifth place was Chele. Sixth place is Shadow and Virgo. Seventh was Cooper and Sphinx. Eighth place was Curve and Craze. Ninth place was Acorn and Bolts, and then rounding out the top 10 was Light. We did have a good amount of other big names though be able to make the finals as well. Like 11th place, of course, Clix and Higgs were gonna make it. 286 points, 1 out of 6 game wins, 57 total elims. They continue to look super good. I saw a clip somewhere of like Ozzy saying that he thinks Higgs has been the best player so far this chapter, and let me know what you guys think about that in the comments below. I mean, technically I guess you could say that, but this was literally our first tournament that we saw this season. Another brand new duo in 28th place of Agers and Ritual made the finals. 262 points, 2 out of 7 game wins, 60 total elims out of them. Epic Will and Pump made it in 39th place, but then that was about it for all of our big names that were able to get into the finals. So as you guys can probably expect, we did have a bunch of big names just miss out, like barely missing out. In 58th place we had Noxy and Miro. Miro was so close to being able to make the first tournament finals of Chapter 7, and he did outplace a lot of our other big names too, because in like 101st place we had Peter and Pollo on 216. They won 1 out of their 7 matches, 89 total elims, which was like far and away more elims than anybody else had in this tournament. They had some very high moments in this, like Peter being able to 1v2 Reet and Muzz.
This guy just ripped like 100 of a chug jug.
Oh,
sip.
I'm looking at 100, 130, 150.
Nice.
They both won. 100 again. They both won. Actually, both won. Let's roll. Dead. This guy's won. This guy's won.
What? I just got shit on. He's full killing me. Like, why? It's Peter, bro.
Dude, I can't see because of the bush.
Why are they not even that good anymore?
What? I died through the wall.
But then other than that, they were just speedrunning a couple of their games because, as you know, Peter and Pollo do, they just W key every single one no matter what. My main takeaways from their performance today was, one of the things was their drop spot. They landed at Wonky Land for every single game in the opens, which, if you guys don't know, that is where Clix and Higgs end up going. We didn't see them fight up spawn at all in the opens, and also I forgot to mention, Veno and Cold are no longer landing Wonky Land anymore. They are going somewhere completely different, and we'll talk about how they did in a little bit. But Peter was even talking like how if they were able to qualify for the finals, then there was a real potential that we saw them go to Wonky Land and actually contest Clix, but they weren't able to make the finals. We have no official announcements from either of them yet, but potentially tomorrow or within the next couple of days we might get to see a Peter versus Clix off spawn. Am I like worried about Peter and Pollo going into the future? A little bit. I did still think they performed relatively well, mainly just because of the elim numbers that they put up. Like, they still showed that they are the best fighting team in the entire world. But like I said earlier, it was kind of just their classic where they W key everybody, run out of games early, and then they're not able to make it to the finals. I guess we'll just have to see how they look in the victory cups this weekend. 104th place was Bugha and Curly in their first tournament together. This duo, after their 3rd game, was literally in first place, and then after that they only got 1 other game inside of the top 10, which made them fail to be able to qualify by a good amount too. And then for the first time in what seems like almost 2 months at this point, we finally got to see Cold compete in a tournament, and he did play with Veno, but unfortunately they finished in 304th place, 132 points, 1 out of 7 game wins, 29 total elims. They started off super hot, getting an 11 elim win in their first game of the day, but then after that they were only able to get one other top 10. Veno is still not going to be on 0 ping. He was playing this tournament from EU on 100 plus ping the entire tournament, and it really did show in like their off spawn fights or just any mid game fights that they had to take. Cold did have to carry a lot of the load, and unfortunately they weren't able to make their first finals together. I know one thing that a lot of people were concerned about with this duo was how would the vibes actually look, and I have to say they were relatively good today. They seemed to be positive even when things ended up going wrong, and when things went good, like after the first game, this is what the vibes were like.
100. Get on my finish.
Ran on me. Good shit.
Shit.
That's what you're there for.
Come on, baby. That's what I do. I'm there for you, baby. Come on, baby.
Watch out for the Team West.
Hey, don't let that shit happen again, though. That is.
I still do have a positive outlook for this duo in the future now. We talk a bunch about like Josh going to 0 ping, Art going to 0 ping, Rapid going to 0 ping, but Veno, once he goes to 0 ping, is going to be the player that gets impacted by that the most, just because he's literally playing on like almost an impossible task right now. So it does kind of suck that for the rest of the season, this is just going to be the situation that Veno and Cold are going to be in. But if they're able to keep the vibes up, Cold was even seen grinding like solo ranked. If Cold's going to be locked in and grinding, this is going to be a scary duo going into the future. Let's actually move on to how the finals went now though. Now in the finals, I must say these games are absolutely stacked with the brand new Surge. We saw a lot of different teams kind of struggle trying to adapt to this, but there was a team that finished in first place of the opens that also finished in first place of the finals. The most elims, Taki and Vert won the first game of the day with an 11 elim win, and they had 3 top 5s today, getting a 2 elim fourth and a 5 elim second. I haven't really talked about these guys much, but they've been super consistent in scrims, won the opens of the eval, won the finals as well, finished with the second most elims, only behind Ritual and Agers. This was a super good performance out of them. Huge shout out to these guys. Second place was Shadow and Virgo. They won the third game of the day with a 9 elim win. Third place was Arc and Kanata. They won the second game of the day with a 6 elim win. Unfortunately, Arc did crash in one of these games. There was a little bit of a weird crashing issue with a couple of different teams that I saw today, but Arc and Kanata, I feel like they're one of the most consistent eval teams, and they were able to win yet another game in their first game of chapter 7 together. And then in fourth place, this duo had a very rough day until the very end, but of course in fourth, Clix and Higgs finished there with an 8 elim win in the last game to really redeem their tournament, because their match history before that, out of a fully uncontested drop spot, was a 1 elim 11th, 1 elim 28th, and a 1 elim 22nd. They did have one unlucky death with like the wingsuit item, and they were kind of struggling with Surge a little bit, but they were pretty much able to erase all of the negative narratives that would have came out of it by winning the last game of the day. All this shows is that this duo is still not perfect. They have room to improve on from here, but they showed their ceiling of being able to win games, and I'm expecting a lot more of that throughout this season. Fifth place was Agers in Ritual, the team that finished with the most elims that wasn't able to get a win. They absolutely fragged out in one of these games, getting the highest elim game of the day with a 16 elimination second. So hey, everyone that was all clowning Ritual for dropping Cold, it seems like him and Agers are still going to be able to frag out. Not much consistency other than that though from them. Sixth place was an EU team of Nathan in Axe Force. Seventh place was Cooper and Sphinx. These guys were actually the most consistent duo of the day, getting an average placement of 4.25. They didn't have a game outside of the top 5 today. They just weren't able to break through and pull off that win, but with this much consistency, I would expect them to do it sometime within the next couple of weeks. Eighth place was Enough in Civ. Ninth place was Listen in Magma, and then rounding out the top 10 was Catman. Only really had a couple of other big names in this tournament, like 13th place of Acorn in Bolts. They did kind of struggle today, not getting a single game inside of the top 10. Didn't really necessarily get to pay a super close look at this team today, but I'm not necessarily worried about them. Josh and Yamzo in 23rd place were contested off spawn every single game by a random team, so I am expecting them to do a lot better when they're uncon in the future. I forgot to mention it earlier, but we also had like 37th place place of Moneymaker and Ken Beans be able to make the finals, so shout out to them. If we move on to our final duo statistics here now for our teams that won games, Hockey finished with 13 elims in comparison to Vert on 7. Pretty even damage numbers for both of them though, 2800 damage for both, but almost a 2.0 damage ratio for Taki. Super good performance out of them. For Shadow and Virgo, Shadow finished with 12, Virgo with 8, 3800 damage for Shadow also, and a 1.54 damage ratio. Definitely probably the better tournament out of Shadow here. For Arc and Kanata, pretty similar numbers, 5 elims for Arc, 6 for Kanata, 2200 damage for Arc, and a 1.26 damage ratio. These guys, I have to admit, haven't had like the most jaw-dropping stats really ever, but they're just super consistent, know how to get the job done, and I'm still very excited for the future for them. And then here was Clix and Higgs, 4 elims for Clix, 7 for Higgs, 2600 damage for Higgs, and a 1.66 damage ratio. I also did want to show Adriz and Ritual because they were the team that finished with the most elims, and I wanted to highlight Ritual as well with 14 total elims and a 1.5 damage ratio. Adriz though finished with over a 2.0 damage ratio, almost 3k damage as well. These guys look like a very scary duo. Let's actually move on to how EU went now. Now in EU, this was a day of disappointment for a lot of our different big name brand new duos. We did see some new duos though absolutely pop off. Like the team that finished in first place of the opens was none other than Walks and Pix. These guys finished with 333 points, won 3 out of their 7 matches, which was the most game wins in all of the opens, and they finished with 56 total elims as well, which did make them the 3rd highest elim team out of everybody that was able to qualify for the finals. I did have some doubts about Walks and Pix, and I was talking a bit about I just don't know how good of a duos player Pix is, and of course this is just opens and we'll talk about them in the finals, but definitely a very good confidence boost for them. Second place is Perdage and Faded on 314. Third place is Cringe and Velo. Fourth place is Avahalo and Jake Bugha. Fifth place is Cactus. Sixth place is Sined and Kinty. Seventh place is Vico and Malabuka on 295. They didn't win any games today, but did still finish with the most elims in this entire tournament with 61 total elims. The vibe seemed at an all-time high in the opens, and I'm going to continue to say I think this does have the potential to be one of the best duos on all of EU. 8th place is Wurex, 9th place is Moneymaker and Fanayan, and then rounding out the top 10 was Sky and Scroll. For some other big names that were able to make the finals, we had like 28th place of Veno and Vanya. They ended up playing this tournament today, of course, because Cold wasn't going to play EU, and then Merstash wasn't able to play today with Vanya, so it was a perfect opportunity for them to pair up together, qualified for the finals, 251 points, 2 out of 7 game wins, 39 total elims. And then our last big name team that was able to qualify, I know a lot of you Mr. Savage fans are not going to be happy about this, but Panzer and Yapko were just barely able to make it by 1 singular point. 240 points for them, 1 out of 7 game wins, 39 total elims. So that did mean that we had a bunch of big names miss out on the first Evo Cup finals of Chapter 7 on EU, like 56th place of Vadil and Rezon. I know a lot of people, including myself, were a little bit confused because Rezon tweeted out like he was looking for a brand new duo and everything like that, but him and Vadil looks like they are going to be sticking together. Unfortunately, they were just barely outside of being able to qualify. You can say the same thing for 62nd place of Hari and Cammy. I still expect these guys to be a very good Evo Cup duo. We saw them be absolutely nasty last season in the Simpsons season at winning games, but they weren't able to qual this week. A team that I was a little bit surprised that missed out on finals was 63rd place of Chap and Flixie. It is a good sign to see that they are back and playing together, grinding together, everything like that, but they only got 232 points, so they were also about 9 points off of being able to make the finals. Only had 3 games inside of the top 10, and that was their last 3 games of the day. Mongraal and Z Andy finished in 223rd place. So Mongraal and Mixon did not end up splitting up. Mixon was actually just sick today, so he wasn't able to play with Mongraal, but this is the first time that we got to see Mongraal play in IGL role, and he was playing with Z Andy today, and I honestly didn't hate it. We even saw like something from Mr. Savage that he said a couple of days ago that he does feel as if Mongraal should transition into an IGL, and I honestly am starting to almost agree with that as well. It's just the skill gap for fraggers is so high now in IGLs. It's a lot more of external stuff that makes you a good IGL, like VOD reviewing, making surge routes, things like that. But there's no way Mongraal should drop Mixon at this point. Mixon is probably still one of the best options that Mongraal can get. 79th place was Focus in Thomas HD, so they were also just barely off of being able to qualify. Chino and Pablo finished in 134th place. Still have to admit, not necessarily the biggest fan of this duo as of now. Queasy and Ferdoxy finished in 154th, another one of the duos that I do kind of have on my split watch right now. They did show some promise in a couple of games, just weren't necessarily able to have much consistency and ended up dying off spawn a couple times as well. Swizzy and Pixie finished in 171st. I mean, as you can tell, just so many of our big name EU teams were not in this finals. We can continue it with 229th place. To me right now, the best duo in all of EU. Shark and Teeny only got 153 points. I know I say this a lot, but when everybody's not able to qual, I'm not really too concerned about one specific team that wasn't able to qual. So I still do have high hopes for a lot of these duos. A team that it was pretty rough for today was 258th place of Tayson and Mr. Savage. They only got one game inside of the top 10, and that was a 9 elim 6th. I've already given a bunch of my thoughts on this duo, but I still do think that Mr. Savage just needs to pick up a fragger. They still finished with 40 elim, so they were fragging out a decent amount. I just literally, this team only made one singular end game today, so it was hard to really analyze what was either going wrong for them. We did see them get absolutely slammed in a fight versus iDrop and Marius, and I'll show how that fight went.
Come on here.
I'm 1 HP.
I might be dead. Bro, no way.
So yeah, rough first tournament out of Savage and Tayson, but if they do want to stick together, hopefully they're able to fix up some of their mistakes. 297th was Seti and Rax. Let's actually move on to how the finals went now though. And in the finals, a lot of our big name duos were actually able to pull off wins, and one of the craziest wins that we saw of the day was first place of Sky and Scroll. They ended up winning the third game of the day with a 10 elim win, and we'll talk about how they're actually able to win it in a little bit, but they were so consistent today, getting an average placement of 6.7. They also got an 8 elim second and a 6 elim fifth to finish with 26 total elims, which was the most elims in this entire tournament. They played super consistent, were able to frag out, and their one win of the day came off of the self revive.
Oh! Oh! Sky? No, Milky! Oh my god, he got nervous. Whoa! Wait. W self-res! What an item!
Huge shout out to this duo right here. This has to be a very good confidence boost for them going into the future now. Second place, another duo that you could say that same thing for, because this team had the real chance to almost win 3 games together. It is Yapko and Panzer. These guys got a 6 elim win, 10 elim second, and a 4 elim second in the final game of the day. As of now, even though it's just a small sample size, it looks like Yapko might have made the right decision to drop Mr. Savage in place of Panzer. And another cool stat is Panzer is now the first person to earn in both Chapter 6 and Chapter 7 because they won the first game of the day. In Chapter 6 Season 1, he won the first tournament of the season with Mongraal and Savage. That doesn't even like sound real to say out loud anymore. And then in Chapter 7 Season 1, he won the first Evo Cup of the game with Yapko. So huge shout out to this duo right here. In my opinion, they look like the best team in this whole lobby. 3 top 2 placements in the second most elims with 24 total elims. Third place was Gross and Frantic. They won the second game of the day with a 5 elim win, and then Cheatin and Yanis won the last game of the day with an 11 elim win. This duo was conned off spawn in every single game of the day as well. Didn't have any success until the last game, but they were able to get their win. 5th place was Dark Coast and Minori. 6th place was Putrix and Wed. 7th place was Gapple. 8th place was Wheat and Frizzy. 9th place was Nebs and Mappy, and then rounding off the top 10 was Nathan in Axe Force. So how a couple of our other big names ended up doing, we had like 14th place of Vico and Malabuka. These guys were conned off spawn every single game by walks and picks, and Vico and Malabuka beat them 3-1 off spawn. Unfortunately, they were only able to have 1 top 10 in the finals, getting a 6 elim 6th though. Pink and Quaker finished in 17th place. They had 2 top 10s with a 3 elim 6th and a 6 elim 4th. And then Veno and Veno were also contested a lot today. They finished in 38th place. Didn't get a single game inside of the top 10, but this this isn't even like an official duo or nothing. I expect Venya and Merstash to be playing together next week, and I'm very excited to see how that ends up going. And then Walks and Picks finished in 44th place. Moving on to the final statistics here now for our duos that were able to win games. Sky and Scroll finished dead even on elims in basically damage 2, 4,000 for Sky in comparison to 3,800 for Scroll, and then the damage ratio is a 1.85 for Sky, 1.46 for Scroll. So the IGL of Scroll honestly really popped off today, but they both pretty much played an even tournament. For Yapko and Panzer, this honestly sucks to look at if you are a Mr. Savage fan, because Yapko finished with the most elims in the entire set lobby finals with 15 total individual elims in 3,500 damage as well. This really was the perfect teammate for Mr. Savage in my opinion, but Panzer still got 9 elims, did his role as an IGL, and almost IGL'd them perfectly. As I said earlier, 3 top 2 finishes. Here's Gross and Frantic stats: 6 elims for Gross, 8 for Frantic, and then Cheatin and Yanis are also dead even at 6 elims apiece. And then I'll also throw in Vico and Malibuka, even though they were conned off spawn, still 7 elims for Vico, 4 for Malibuka. Excited to see what these guys can do in the future. Other than that though, let me know what you guys think about everything we went over in the comment section down below. First tournament of the season has just concluded. I am so excited to finally be back recapping these tournaments for you guys. Remember, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, as we try our best to upload daily competitive content for you guys. Please just go K-Dog in the Fortnite item shop if you guys want to support me even more. YouTube sells them when these 2 videos up on the screen right now, so go check them out if you guys haven't already. Thank God for another day, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out, man. Love you, boys.